All right, we are taking you across to another live event, which is the India-Brazil Business Forum.
Technological integration between Brazil and India is something which is huge in its dimension, and perhaps we do not have the capability of seeing this. I was just saying this to the business people who we met. I was in India for 2005 when India managed to have an international reserves of $100 billion for the first time. This was back in 2005. Brazil had no reserves at that time. Brazil owed $30 billion to the IMF. And Brazil, you know, was always being charged with IMF representatives coming to Brazil. Because of that trip that I made to India, I decided that Brazil should have international reserves. And shortly after that, we reached $370 billion in international reserves. In that same year, 2005, for the first time, Brazil managed to export the equivalent to $100 billion. It was a big celebration for Brazil, you know. And today our international trade flow reaches $649 billion. So this shows that, you know, the possibilities, they're there. Look, Prime Minister Modi and I have committed to work for us to reach $20 billion in, you know, a trade exchange in a few years. I'd like to remind you that when I visited India in 2005, me and Prime Minister Singh, we committed to reach $10 billion 10 years later. So I said to Prime Minister Modi that $20 billion is not much for, you know, India and Brazil. I mean, with the number of Indian business people that are in Brazil already, and with the number of Brazilian investors that want to invest in India, you know, and with the attempt of bringing multilateralism to an end, implementing unilateralism, China, India and Brazil, instead of, you know, crying over spilled milk, what we need to do is to ensure that this happens between our two countries. And this is why I think, and I said this to Prime Minister Modi, that I will not be surprised that if by 2030 we have not reached 20 billion, but 30 billion in bilateral trade between our two countries. All we need to do is, you know, work for it. In today's world, the connectivity and commercial possibilities have become a synonym of resilience because of protectionism and trade unilateralism. Since the start of my term in office, Mercosur has signed agreements with Singapore, EFTA, and more recently with the European Union, increasing significantly the preferential trade agreement Mercosur-India that has been discussed since 2009 is a priority when you look for a possible free trade agreement for the future. Two such important markets such as Brazil and India needs a sort of wider-reaching, more ambitious framework. The reciprocal interest is growing. Over 100 missions by Brazilian business people who actually visited India in the last 3 years. A great number of business people will benefit from extending the visa validity for business in terms from 5 to 10 years to support the private sector of both countries so that we may identify opportunities and actually close deals. The Brazilian Export Promotion Agency, APEX, yesterday opened their office in Delhi. And the agreement on cooperation for small, medium-sized companies that we signed today, they're going to support the exchange of experience in a crucial sector for creating jobs and for our economies in cutting-edge sectors such as IT, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and space exploration. opportunities are countless. The digital partnership with India is the first of this nature signed by Brazil. It will bring together cooperation in artificial intelligence, high-performance computing, startups of technological basis. We are also leaders in the creation of digital public infrastructure, the DPIs. The Brazilian PIX and India's stack shows that it is possible to democratize technology and place innovation at the service of inclusion. Facing climate change is an obsession of my government. This year, we have reduced deforestation in the Amazon in 50% in relation to 2022. In 2026, we are going to have the lowest deforestation rate in Brazil's history. Brazil's doing its part to ensure that we have a planet where next generations can live in. We have been monitoring our biomes, and we use science as a tool of care and sovereignty. Together with India, we want to be drivers of a new development model. We have transformed challenges of energy transition and of climate change into opportunities. India is the bioenergy market that grows the most in the world, and Brazil has half a century of experience with ethanol and dual fuel engines. At the level of the Global Biofuel Alliance, we are creating a world market. Energy and digital transition will not take place without critical minerals. Brazil has at least 26% of the world reserves of critical minerals, and we have only 30% of its territory prospected. Just like India, we have established the National Mission for Critical Minerals. Brazil has set up a national council linked to the presidency of the Republic to ensure our sovereignty. We want to attract the processing chain for this wealth for the Brazilian territory without having to make excluding options. The agreement that we signed today with India, it goes in this direction. Precisely. Dear friends, we also have synergies in the agri-livestock sector. We are the second and fourth biggest producers of food in the world. The zebu cattle in Brazil has its origins from the start of the 20th century through importing of Nelore and Ghee and cows from the Gujarat, which is the home state of Prime Minister Modi. Today, Brazil sells its animal genetics to India. We can cooperate in integrating agricultural productive chains, in technological innovation, sustainable use of soil, and also in global food security. The health industrial complex is another strategic line for cooperation and bilateral trade. India is a big provider of pharmaceutical inputs for Brazil. We have a track record of joint action to ensure wide-reaching and cheap access of generic medication for low-income populations and also for developing countries. In this forum, we signed 3 agreements of strategic partnership with few crews of local companies for developing vaccines, medications, and essential inputs. Another field with a lot of potential is for smart hospitals, such as the one that the Minister of Health, Alexandre Padilha, visited in Bangalore. Brazilian industry is competitive in many different sectors with high technological content and value-added content, such as the aeronautics and spatial sectors. India is already the 3rd biggest commercial aviation market in the world and one of the biggest global defense markets, with very ambitious modernizing schemes. In both areas, Brazil is ready to cooperate. We don't want just to sell. We want to buy, we want to invest and consolidate our presence in India with the transfer of technology and personnel capacity building. With the agreement signed by Embraer with the Adani and Mahindra Group, these agreements are going to allow for the production of commercial and defense aircrafts here in India. In order to attract investments, Brazil has undergone a historic tax reform, which Minister Fernando Haddad has probably mentioned when he spoke to you this morning. Today, we offer legal certainty, economic stability, political stability, and social stability. The Growth Acceleration Program, the PAC, and the new Brazil industry, which mobilized over $50 billion, they are open to Indian participation in areas such as clean energy, electrical mobility, health, aerospace, semiconductors, and digital innovation. My friends, Brazil is going to continue to increase our relations with the world without distinction or automatic alignments. Business have no color, religion, or ideology. You, business people, you are the core for these opportunities to become a reality. Paraphrasing Prime Minister Indira Gandhi when she visited Brazil in 1968, she used to say, "The future does not arrive on its own. We need to wish it." So let's get to work. Good luck.
So there you saw Brazil's President Lula da Silva addressing the India-Brazil Business Forum, talking about how there's huge potential to expand business and trade ties between the two nations. Well, that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Thanks for watching DD India.